I'm joined with General Manager Gary Pratt just to provide a post-season update for all things happening at Waterlooville and everything going on around the place at Wesley Park at the moment. First off, Gary, it's been a pretty long season. I'm sure you're just about as tired as all of us at the moment.
Yeah, but it's our job to keep the troops going. Obviously, with the relegation of the men's first team, it's not been the greatest of seasons, but it's my job not just to look at one aspect of the club, but to look at every aspect of the club. And overall, there have been some positive moments for the club this season as well, which obviously needs to be highlighted too.
There's obviously plenty in the footballing side of things that we can talk about, and I think the first thing that normally comes with a new season is pre-season friendlies and all of that sort of thing. So without maybe saying things that we don't quite know yet, because I'm sure there are still plenty of question marks, only being at the back end of April, where are we kind of at with all of that?
Yeah, so we're looking at a pretty extensive pre-season campaign. We have a few games already confirmed in. It's a little bit trickier than normal, obviously, when we've gone down to step 3. We'll probably touch on it again in a minute, but knowing which division you're going to go into, because it takes out quite a large aspect of how many teams you would look to normally go and speak to. But we can confirm we've got our Portsmouth friendly booked in here for Wesley Park. Dates and times will come out in due course. Obviously, Portsmouth have been a little bit busy themselves, and obviously we offer our congratulations to their men's team and their women's team on their league championship campaigns this season. So really we're looking at other things like going out into local football, trying to find some away venues, having some decent friendlies here at Wesley Park as well. It's looking good, I'm not going to lie. It'll be some different teams to the normal. I've had a few supporters saying, oh, we're going to play so and so again for the 15th year running. Not necessarily, there's some different names in there, and obviously speaking with new management, once we get to announce that, then that's where we'll be able to confirm everything in due course.
Yeah, I think the big question that there's two big questions there that you've touched on, and we'll go with the footballing one first. I think the question on everyone's tips of their tongues is what division and what league will we be going into. We know we're going to be playing Step 3 football. There are 2 potential divisions that we could be going into, and I think you can maybe, I wouldn't say shed light on that situation, but just address it for us.
Yeah, so to give those that don't have an understanding, the more you go up the ladder, obviously, the amount of divisions they get lessened. So we're going back down into Step 3. You have 2 different options. One would be the Southern Premier Division, the south version of that, Central, and the other one would be the Isthmian League's Premier Division as well. With the Isthmian League, that would involve trips as close as Bognor Regis as it currently stands, and into deepest, darkest, long journeys such as Essex and Kent and around the M25. Failing that, we could go to Southern League, which would then have the Gosport route as it stands. With obviously they're in their playoff campaign starting this week, and then you've got trips as far as Merthyr Tydfil, I know they're Merthyr Town, but in South Wales as well. So we're right on the middle of the border. Some people say the border's the A3, some people say it's the Sussex Hampshire border. There's no such thing really. It's all the teams that are in that step all get put into the pot, and then they base it on the regionalisation. You've got Southern League sides that are really close to Isthmian League sides as well up in London, so there could be some adjustments up there. So that's really what we're looking towards. We get a decision probably in the middle of May, and once that decision's been made, then obviously clubs do have the right to appeal against it. Obviously we would look to see what's in the best interest of this football club, but we have our preference. The board have discussed this already. I don't think it's right to say what our preference is, because at this time obviously we don't even know all of the teams that are going to be in Step 3 based on the playoffs. So we will take what's best for the interest of this football club, and we will make our thoughts known should we need to.
And looking at what is going to be Step 3 football next season, one of the other questions that I know we've kind of seen touted around a lot is season tickets and what the plan is for that, and pricing, and there's so many things to cover within that, which I know we've already sat down and spoken about off camera, but maybe something to kind of just address for everyone.
Without putting any drastic sort of shock waves out there, I think it's been well documented, and it's really known that our season tickets at Step 2 were the cheapest in Step 2, at North or South, considerably as well. So going back down to Step 3, actually there are still season tickets in Step 3 that are more expensive than what our season tickets were at Step 2. So I've been stopped all over the place, walking around Tesco's, walking down the Waterlooville High Street and all sorts. So the answer is the board have a pricing structure. We will be releasing that in the very near future, but there won't be drastic changes because we are already at a very, very cheap price. We do need to be competitive for this league. I'm happy to say there will be a reduction, but we need to remain competitive. So there will be some people who say that's a very valid price, it's a very fair price for what you're getting. But we have to have that balancing act of we've done so much for the community in the last few years that the price was so cheap that we have to justify the pricing structure and get it right moving forward. So they're definitely not going up, I can tell you that, but we might not be as drastic reduction as what some people are expecting, but it's very, very competitive in the market for Step 3 football.
And we talk about Step 3, we talk about all of the things about people coming to want to watch us at Wesley Park, and I think, again, another topic that we can't really say too much on at the moment. There are lots of question marks around the players, around the squad, but also this new head coach, which Derek touted in his end of season address.
Yeah, of course. So the chairman's mentioned, obviously, there's going to be an appointment of a new head coach. It would be remiss of me not to thank those that have stepped up to the plate in previous months, Cliff, Ross and Rich. The work they've done behind the scenes, I don't think people really see what goes on. I never knew that until I joined the football club in 2020. But these guys, considering the situation we were in come 1st of December, they've really stepped up to the plate for this club. And everything's up in the air. So as I'm speaking to you now, sort of at the end of April, there are a number of different things that we have to wait for. We've got players out on loan at other clubs who may be coming back to us. We've got players out at other clubs who won't be coming back to us. We have players with our own squad that we're looking to retain and keep the services of, and there'll be players within the squad that may not feature next season. So there's a whole raft of different things that we have to go through. We've got timelines that we have to abide by through the Football Association and the registration process and the retention process. So we will be informing supporters of the retained list in due course. We've got to get to the end of that process, and it wouldn't be fair if we did that prior to people finishing their campaigns. So once everything's set in place, we will release, we will be communicating this to our supporters, also to other clubs who will look at the retained list and see what players are available and what not. So it's a delicate situation. It's something we're looking forward to. Derek's mentioned a new head coach. I've had the pleasure of meeting said individual, and I don't think it'd be too soon before we hear from the new individual. But we're only looking upwards. We're only looking for a collective unit. We're not looking to sort of. We're not looking to just stay where we're at. We're looking at the highlights of it, and there are targets in place. And with a club our size, we will be looking at the higher echelons of Step 3 division, whichever one it will be. And building that squad is key and paramount to it, and having stability in that squad and the structure that's required out on the field of play to go forward. So watch your space, and hopefully some exciting times with some decent football and some positive results. I need some positive results, so positive results are what I'm looking for.
Well, leading on to quite a nice point here as positive results go. We've had a very successful season away from the men's first team, and looking at the women's first team, just to kind of address the success that they've had. They're right up there, having taken 3 promotions in one hit this summer, and they also have a cup final waiting for them whenever that rearranged date may be.
Yeah, so unfortunately yesterday's game, so time of filming yesterday's game was postponed for waterlogged pitch. That's right, the last week in April was a waterlogged pitch. That's the weather we've had this year, and we're lucky with the artificial pitch that we don't have those issues. But for those clubs out there, well done to everybody for completing the seasons the way they have. Chris with his backroom team, especially Steve, Ash, and Danny in there. They've brought these ladies on leaps and bounds. To put it bluntly, and I've told Chris this and I've told Steve this, I am surprised by their league position at the present time. It's a lot higher than I would have expected to. Like you said, they had a triple promotion, so they've worked fantastically well to be challenging towards the end. They've still got one league game left. It is against the champions, AFC Portchester, and that will determine if they beat them, they could finish second in the league. So runners up in their first season at step 6, would be a phenomenal effort. We believe it's only one being promoted, so the likelihood is that they will remain in the same division for next season, although that can change if teams fold from higher. But they also got to the League Cup final, like you say. They're in Division 1 South of the Southern Region Women's League. They're playing the Premier Division champions in Bournemouth Sports in the final. The date and the venues are still to be rearranged, but we're hopeful it will be done relatively soon. Because obviously we're coming right to the end of the season, so more information will come out about that. But I must congratulate the ladies for their togetherness as well. They've had some adversities during the season. The main one was when they played in the Hampshire FA Women's Senior Cup. Unfortunately, they had a serious injury to their captain, Jodie Birchall, who is going under treatment for an ACL injury that's keeping her out of the game for over 12 months. And we wish Jodie the very best going forward in that. And obviously, it's been a tough time for her. So the team have got around her really, really well, and we're hoping to do some sort of fundraiser for Jodie in the off season, by where maybe a charity match or something like that will go on to raise money for Jodie's treatment. So for all the Hawks fans, male or female, if you can get to that date once it's arranged, then obviously that will be a fantastic spectacle to try and raise money for a much loved player in Youngstown.
And we're talking about things outside the first team. We've just touched on the women's team, and there's plenty of work going on outside of that in the community, and all the community work that we've got going on at the football club. I know you mentioned the artificial pitch here. I know we're constantly getting use out of that through various community courses, and I think holiday courses and summer tournaments are just a couple of the things that I know we've got coming up that are favourites amongst people in the local area.
I like the fact you said favourites amongst people. My thing is, I know that there's some supporters out there who think we just bang on about the pitch and what we do with community things. I make no apologies for that. It's twofold. One, the community work is absolutely paramount for keeping people involved in the club, keeping people aware of what the club is going through. So when it's obviously positive times, you'll see more people coming through the turnstiles and supporting our team. But also for the fact that the pitch, through the community bookings such as the training sessions and charity games, also and even corporate events, they bring in significant secondary income for the football club. Burger huts being open for the kids' games and things along those. People don't realise the operation that goes on. I was talking to the chairman not so long ago, and he was speaking about how the club used to be. They were here once a fortnight because the game took place once a fortnight if the grass pitch was on. Now we're open 363 days a year. I close for Christmas Day. Sometimes we're open 364, depends if we've got a game on New Year's Day. Apart from that, we're open every other day, which is testament to the small team that we've got working behind the scenes and how hard they work. Through the office staff to the 3G staff, also to the staff in the Wesley, to our Burger Hut staff and our match day volunteers as well. So everybody's working towards this. But when we shout about it on social media, trust me, we are absolutely shouting about the good work that we're doing. We're already at 162 teams entered in our summer tournament, which is far beyond what we had previous years. We had more last year, but that was a late surge, so to be at that stage at this time of year is fantastic. We also have a number of schools that we're working with, and this is some of the things for me, is that we're trying to open up more education routes in further education for children that are struggling at school, who may have extra care plans alongside them. So we're not just doing the easy stuff, we're also looking at doing the more difficult stuff and giving people a pathway. So there is that, and we still have something ridiculous like 15 youth teams with Hawks Community Youth, the women's reserve teams that obviously some people may know that I'm a little bit more invested in now, helping out with some of the coaching in there, and the team basically had a new management come in with 3 games to go in the season, and they're looking to push on again next season. So with all of that, it has been very positive. There has been negatives, obviously there's been negatives, and everybody sees the forthright in the relegation, but actually behind the scenes and the operation outside of the first team, it's been another very, very positive year. Tiring, trust me, tiring. We could all do with a little break, but we don't. We're 7 days a week operation, so we are really pushing the boundaries of what we can do here at this football club.
And we talk about our optimism very much so in looking forward, in looking to what's to come in the future, and looking about that positively. And I think one thing that I've noticed in particular is the reaction around various communications from the football club. I know it's been quite a difficult year in terms of communication for a lot of different reasons, though I'm sure you can probably echo what I'm saying, that we're hoping to change that.
Well, yeah, I'll be brutally honest. I've seen some reactions on social media about the lack of updates coming out about the first team set up, and what the fans really want to hear about, what they want to see about. As a club, we've got certain media policies that we do follow. I can give the corporate stuff, but quite frankly, there hasn't been enough coming out to the supporters. I fully accept that, and as general manager of this football club, that falls on me. That doesn't fall on any other staff member, that falls on me. It's my responsibility to have that done, and it hasn't been done. Albeit, there have been certain people at this football club who aren't with the football club anymore, that didn't want media interviews going out with players or management team or anything along those lines, which has been addressed and has been sorted going forward. You will see the club having a more open and honest outlook about results, things happening before games, signings not being left till a certain time on a Saturday, and wanting more cohesion with our support base. Any support that's come up and spoken to me, I've given an honest answer to. I will always give an honest answer to, because without the supporters, it's lifeless around here. You can tell that. So the gist of where we're going at is we do want to be out there. We want to be pushing along. We've heard a few things about, you only put certain things on some social media channels such as X or Twitter. It's still Twitter, and we don't put certain things on Facebook. And we don't put live match updates on Instagram, or we don't have any YouTube videos going on with interviews. Things will change. Not all things will change for it, but we will give supporters clear indications of where we can find things. One thing I am pleased to say is obviously we've reintroduced Hawks Media, obviously yourself commentating, Josh. We're really happy to say that will continue as much as physically possible next year. There might be some logistical issues, I'm not going to lie. There are some grounds that won't necessarily have full broadband and Wi-Fi available, so we might have some logistics, but wherever possible we will continue with the radio broadcasts throughout the season.
I think another thing just on that we've kind of touched on ourselves is, I can sit here and ask you all of the questions that I can think of, though I'm sure there are probably people that have plenty of questions that I might not think of, or things that I might not see when trying to draft these sorts of things together to interview yourself. So fans' voice is always very important, and I'm sure that there are ways that we can address this, which I know you can maybe shed a bit of light to.
Yeah, so one thing I took to the board is, once the new head coach has been appointed, there will be a Q&A session in the Westley. We'll send out details of when that's going to be, and it's open and honest questions, within reason, of course. But if you want to know what's going on at the football club, we will give you as much information as we can. Obviously there'll be some things we don't want to go through, such as certain finances and things like phases of play and this and that. We don't want to give other people the advantage of knowing, but we will have an open and honest QA session with the new head coach, with board members, with people who are very vital for this football club, and we will give you the answers. We want to be that. We want to be as part of that. We want to be embracing it. There are certain comments that I've heard about the no one goes in the pub after the game, or no one does this, no one does that. We know that. we have to address it. We've got to address it in our certain way, and we will do our utmost to make it better. And we think it's a great idea to invite anybody that wants to come in, ask certain questions. And a few of you they've popped into the office during their lunch breaks or just when they're walking the dog or something like that. We're always open. We will say what we need to say, but we want people to realise that we're all in this for the right reasons, and the board do care, and we will make sure that we will give this men's first team, and all of the other teams where possible, the very best opportunity of winning the leagues next season.
I think that's quite an apt way to wrap things up, but in short, we're looking forward to a very optimistic and a very positive preparation for the new season around the football club, but also to continue some of this hard work off the field. But thank you for your time, Gary, and we look forward to hopefully bringing another one of these updates at some point in the near future.
Thanks, Josh.
Cheers.